Hey guys, and welcome back to the dashboard series. So as I said in the last video in the introduction, we'll start writing some code in this video to actually develop our dashboard that we had a quick tour of. But before we do that, we just want to set up our directory structure. And where I'm going to do that is I'm going to use Sublime, so you can use Sublime as your text editor as well. But if you use something else, just set your directory structure up like this. So first here we have a directory, or I should start here. The home dash directory is just the main directory, and this is where your app.py file sits, and this is where we write all our Python code to develop our dashboard. At the moment, as you can see here, it's just a blank file, so there's nothing in it yet because obviously we're going to write the code as we continue through this series. Now with the assets directory here, we've got this home.css file. I think I mentioned this one in the last video. If we have a look here, if we come back to the GitHub repository, which I'll put the link in the description, if we look at assets, we've got in here a home.css file, so you'll need to just go and copy that and paste it into here in a CSS file. The house.jpg file, if you remember from the tour of the dashboard in the last video, there was a house image in the top left corner of the dashboard. So what we're doing is I've just gone to Unsplash and just typed in house. If you remember the image, there's the house there. I just selected that one, but you can select whatever house you would prefer. And if we go back to the GitHub repository and we look at data, there's a home.csv file which you're going to need to also download and stick it in your data directory here as a home.csv file. So that gives you the basic structure there, or not even the basic structure, the actual structure. And so let's start writing the code now. So a lot of these libraries you'll probably already have, but if you don't have them, just go and grab them. So import pandas as PD. That's the first one. We'll need pathlib, so we'll import pathlib. Import datetime as DT. Import dash. So that's, you might need to go grab dash if you haven't used it before. That's obviously the library we're using to develop our dashboard. Go from dash.dependencies, import, and import outputs. So we'll see these as we go further through the series. We'll import dash core components as DCC, import dash HTML components as HTML. And for our graphing library, we'll import plotly.express as px. So there's our imports done. Now what we'll do to start off here is we'll declare our app. And the way we do that in dash, what we can do is we can write a variable called just app. And we can go equals dash, which is obviously the dash library we've just imported up here, and then dot dash again, but with a capital D. And then we can just go double underscore name and metered tags equals list dictionary, and then just go name. Viewport and content. And we go width equals device width. Okay, so that's declaring the app, and what we can do is we can just go down. I'm using the Anaconda prompt, so if you have Anaconda you'll probably have access to this, but if you don't, you may want to run it in some other form of the command line. So what I'll do is I'll navigate to the home dash directory, which was this one up here, and once I'm there, what I can do is I can go Python and then just go app.py hit enter, and that runs our file. So we've got no errors. So what that's done is it's just run this Python script. So it's imported these libraries and it's initialized this app variable. So we're all good so far. Now moving on, what we'll do here is we'll create an app layout. So what you'll find is there's two parts to the Dash app. The first part will be what we're doing here is the layout, which is effectively structuring it where you want your titles, your pictures, your buttons, your controls, your graphs, all that sort of stuff. And then there'll be the second part, which will be later in this series, where we'll write the functions that essentially provide the interactivity in the dashboard, where you could see from the last video where I was clicking, say, a year, let's say 2017, and then it'd go into the data set and calculate maybe the written premium. So we'll start here with the create the app layout, because you're essentially going to need a layout and an empty structure before you can start applying functionality. Otherwise you have no functionality, you have nothing to apply the functionality to. And the way we do this, so we'll start off here and we'll go app, which was this variable up here, and we go app.layout, and we go html.div. So if you're familiar with HTML, you'll know exactly what a div is. If you don't, just follow along and you'll learn a bit about HTML while building these dashboards, but you may need to go in and do your own research as well to get a bit more information around what these HTML components actually are. So the first one, as we've done here, is we've imported the -HTML components and we've accessed the div, and we'll come down here, open up a list, we'll do another one, so we'll go HTML div again, open up a list, again another one, which will go HTML div, a list, and then what we'll do in here is the top right corner of the dashboard had the house image, so we'll put this in here now. So we'll go html.img and we'll go src equals app.get asset URL, and in here we pass the file name for our house image, which was house up here, house.jpg, and we'll also give it an ID here. So we need to give an ID, and I've just called it suburb image. It should probably be house image, but anyway, I've got suburb in there. And then when we come down here, we'll take a class name and we'll go 1/3 column, and this is essentially this here, this is going to access your CSV file, I mean not your CSV, your CSS file, and get the formatting for this class name, so, or for the 1/3 column. So that's there, and that's gonna, yeah, obviously make your app look a bit prettier than what it would otherwise. And again, if you're familiar with HTML or CSS, that should be no surprise to you there. And then what we can do is we can come down the bottom, and to actually run our app, we can write this. We can go if name double underscore on each side is equal to double underscore main double underscore, and we can go app dot run server, and we go debug because we want to run it in debug mode. We go debug equals true. We save our file, and what we can do now is we can come back here and we can run the same command that we ran before. We run that, it drops down with these details here, and it says it's running on, whoops, sorry, this location. So we'll copy that, come back to your web browser, paste it into your web browser, and we can see that we've got our house image here. So that's essentially what we've done so far. So now that we've done that, we'll continue on with our header. So if we come out here and we go html.div again, html.div again, html.h3. So again, it's another HTML component. It's essentially saying heading of size 3. And what we're going to do here is we're going to put our header in. So we're going to go consumer home insurance. And we're going to style that. So we have a margin dash bottom. I put it in as 0px, which stands for 0 pixels. Oops. Actually hit enter there. And then what we'll do here is we'll go html.h5, so similar to the h3 that we've just done. It's just a bit smaller, and we'll put in portfolio dashboard. And we're going to want a style here as well, and we'll go margin dash top, and that's going to be 0 pixels. And then if we come down here, so just lining up here, so we'll go class name equals, this one's going to be 1/2 column, and the ID is going to be title. We can hit Control S on that and go and have a look at our dashboard, and as you can see, we've got it in there. So it's not completely centered yet, but as we do our formatting, as we go down through the series, it'll come into a nice centered position. So I think this video is getting a bit long. We still need to do the button out here that was in our header row, so we'll do that in the next video and continue on with our app from there. So if you thought this one was helpful, remember to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you in the next video.